Testing, testing, mic 4, check 1 2. Testing, testing, mic 1, check 1 2.
Testing, testing, 1 2 3.
Test, 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 test.
Oh, give me mic 1. Am I usually mic 2? Yes, I'm usually mic 2. Those things you figure out.
We still would be doing a show today, even
Yes,
if
we would. Extra week. Do I have too many things open? What's going on here?
Yeah, the Dolphins are finally one of the final 12 teams playing in the postseason. That's right, Dolphins fans, for the first time since 2008.
You're special.
All right, Mike, say hi, guys.
How was your Christmas?
Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. Do we mean final? Is it only 12? It is only 12.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. It's amazing. I've gotten 2,000 people tweeting at me from just regular stuff by Pittsburgh fans. They believe their shit doesn't stink.
I tend to like Pittsburgh fans.
I like them too. I think they're smart fans. They're educated about the game. I think they understand the game, but like they think their team is flawless.
Yeah.
And they're okay. There's nothing special about Pittsburgh except for Big Ben.
And Le'Veon.
Yeah, Le'Veon's okay. Le'Veon's good.
You don't like Le'Veon? You don't like Le'Veon?
No, he's very good. I don't think he'll cause that many problems for Dolphins for a couple reasons. One, he's a very patient runner. Best way to beat Dolphins is just go at it.
Right.
See it go. If you're gonna wait and you let him set up, okay.
Yeah.
Then the patience is one thing, and I don't really think he's a guy you gotta think about all the guys that they faced. Do they really give them extra attention? As long as Kiko can bring you down, they're good with you getting an 8-yard run.
Yeah.
As long as they can, they want to get you into third downs.
Yeah,
And Kiko covers, okay, Le'Veon, if you're going to say, okay, his ability in pass catching, it's going to be a major factor. Kiko, that's what Kiko actually does.
Yeah, that's the one thing Kiko does well, right?
Yeah, that's one thing he's good at. So Le'Veon will get his, 120?
Yeah.
And you won't feel it. You'll see it during the game, but you won't feel it.
Right.
Like, to me, they've got to be concerned about, why can't this thing go? Hold on. Damn it. Talking to you threw me off. This damn
Damn it. Talking to me.
Having a conversation. I'm going to talk to you for like 35 minutes, and all of a sudden I start talking to you early and just ruined everything.
I'll tell you what. This mess going on at the University of Minnesota is
legendary.
I mean,
epic.
What a dumpster. I mean, just talk about a mess that I'm glad I'm not a part of, or having to report on, or having to make an opinion on, or having to talk about. I just want to stay away from the whole thing.
Yeah. How many schools are going to have sexual? I mean, we already know that sexual assault is a major issue on college campuses. How many sports teams are going to have to be falling victim to it before you realize, holy crap, we have an epidemic in America, especially with entitled athletes who have been protected, sheltered, and made excuses for their entire lives.
I think it's a culture on college campuses everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of athletes.
I agree.
Probably high school too, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you look at it. You look at it from the standpoint of I mean, we've all seen the culture. We've all been there where athletes, college athletes, just do it. I mean, not college athletes, but they're entitled.
Yeah.
Come on, what is going on with this computer?
Okay, are mics open?
Yeah.
Great.
Right, let's go.
Okay. Watching us live now, we will get your questions that you send to us either in the chat or on Twitter using hashtag Xomar. If you send them to us live during the show, we will answer them after the show.
I cannot even get in on my computer.
We might not answer them. No, we're going to try to answer them after the show.
I'm going to close all my windows and then restart it all.
All right. If it takes a little time after the show to get overtime started, then so be it.
So be it.
You're trying to get into the chat on the website?
Yeah.
Click open the tab and see if you can see if it's working.
Okay.
Close those back to the tab.
All right. Let's rock.
Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ready to go in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to a very special playoff edition of X's and Omar alongside Sun Sentinel Dolphins columnist Omar Kelly. I'm CBS 12 Sports Director Matt Lincoln. It is time to get ready for the postseason.
I call it bonus week.
We've been talking about, the possibility of a postseason game happening for years.
Years? Really? Years?
Beginning of December started. How many years have we said, okay, well, what do the Dolphins have to do to get in the playoffs? They've got to win for not last year, but the previous years.
Okay, I thought the best chance the Dolphins had of making it to the playoffs was probably the 13-14 season.
Yeah.
I
Where
think
they
those are
lost the last two.
Probably their most talented teams. This one, oh my God.
Yeah, but I mean, Dolphins fans are constantly thinking, okay, we're now 5-5. What do we have to do to make the playoffs? Okay, now we're 5-6. It's a constant thing that all fans think about, and now they're actually here.
I call what Dolphins franchise has been through this last decade, I call it the mediocrity merry-go-round. Mm-hmm. Every team in the NFL is built to be 8-8.
Sure.
You are structurally built. The system is set up for everybody to be 8-8. If you're really bad, that's because you've had a ton of injuries, and you basically just suck.
Right.
Horrible quarterback.
Coaches are bad. Right.
Coaches are bad. Roster's bad. You're the Cleveland Browns. But then the good teams are the teams that are 10 wins and above. How do you get to 10 wins? This year has been the best year that has taught me how you get to 10 wins. Good coaching gets you to 10 wins. Because if you look at this roster, and we've been talking about it from day one, this is an okay roster. Mm-hmm. It's not a talented roster. If the offensive line was completely healthy, I would say you got it.
Right.
This is
if Rashad Jones
with Mike
Pouncey,
right. You are averaging 154 rushing yards per game. You do that, you're the #1 rushing team in the NFL. You can be good. Ryan Tannehill takes the next step. Why does he take the next step as a quarterback?
Coaching.
Because of coaching. Vance Joseph makes a lot work with very little. Scheme, play calling, situational, putting people in situations where they can be successful. That's coaching. So to me, I think coaching has proven this year that they can get you to 2 extra wins.
We said it a number of times on this show. Last year's squad was more talented.
More talented.
And healthier.
No doubt about it. If people want to debate that, Olivier Vernon for Mario Williams. You had Lamar Miller and Jay Ajayi. It wasn't one or the other.
Right.
You had Lamar Miller and Jay Ajayi.
Right.
Rashard Matthews. You telling me Rashard Matthews can't help this receiving corps? Rashard Matthews is a hell of a football player. I think he had nearly 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns.
9 touchdowns, yeah.
9 touchdowns. Rashard Matthews is a hell of a football player. He was here with these same receivers last year. He was the #2 guy. Everybody steps up. Fine, that's great. You got Devontae Parker, who's a super talented kid. But remember those stretches of games when you had injuries and you needed somebody to step up and nobody could? Well, that wouldn't have been an issue last year. And then, hell, I'll just throw you Kelvin Shepherd. He contributed 100 tackles last year. Mm-hmm. You telling me Kelvin Shepherd can't help this linebacking unit?
He would be.
This linebacking unit.
And he's barely playing for Buffalo. Brent Grimes. You don't forget Brent Grimes. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about Brent Grimes. Good God. 4 interceptions. One of the only cornerbacks in NFL history. 4 interceptions, 4 straight years. Like, you could complain about Brent all you want. You can complain about Miko. But Brent's still an elite player in the NFL.
All right, we're going to talk a lot about the matchup with the Steelers, but let's first close the book on the regular season.
Do we have to open that book?
It's open. We're just going to close it. We're just going to
okay.
we'll move it away.
All right.
Let's talk about the final game, Week 17, Patriots. It was,
Let me put it this way.
Okay.
And I went through it, and we talked about it on this show. I've watched the Steelers now for a decade. I mean, not Steelers. Watched the New England Patriots for a decade. And they've had better rosters.
Sure.
They've had better teams. They've had better defenses. They've had better offensive weapons. They've had better offensive lines. But I don't think they've ever been as well coached as they are right now. Mm-hmm. They are so diverse and so good. You know how you rate everything 1 to 10?
Sure.
They do everything 7 or above.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that they're not at least good at. And the way they play, they're just going to dink, 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 convert their down, dink, dink, convert their down, dink, dink, convert their down, score in the red zone.
Yeah.
You turn the ball over, they do the same thing. Dink, 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 convert their down, dink, 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 convert their down, score in the red zone. And they put so much. I heard Richie Incognito say it on a Sports Illustrated's podcast. And it's true. And I watched it leading up to it. I broke down their film of 4 games, and I watched it. They just wait for you to make a mistake, and you will literally put the noose around your neck, and you will hang yourself because they put so much pressure on you to be perfect. And Dolphins could have been in that game. If Damian Williams hadn't fumbled the ball, they hadn't returned it, that would have been a 7-point game in the fourth quarter. Who knows what happens in a 7-point game in the fourth quarter? The pressure on them might have forced them to make a mistake. But all of a sudden, you get a 14-point swing, game over.
Yeah, it really hadn't felt like the Dolphins had a mistake like that. One of those back-breaking type mistakes since September.
It's not just the interception that they had before, which they scored another touchdown. I mean, they don't need you to make a major 14-point mistake. Just any mistake, penalty, false start, interception, fumble, it doesn't matter. A bad decision on third down throw, doesn't matter. They just need you to make a mistake. Somebody being out of their gap on special team, just one mistake. Somebody missing a tackle on the Julian Edelman attack, just one mistake.
Right.
7 points, gone. Game over.
All right, that's all about the Patriots. Anything we learned from the Dolphins in that we didn't already know in Week 17?
That they're not very good when they are not successful running the football. Teams can make them not be successful running the football. Matt Moore can deliver. Matt Moore can still deliver. We know who Matt Moore is. 105 quarterback reading. There's a reason. Yeah. Matt Moore, there's only one quarterback in the NFL who's thrown 50 passes that throws a higher yards per attempt average than Matt Moore. And that's Matt Ryan. You know who's number 3? Tom Brady. Matt Moore can deliver you points. He can deliver you big plays. What you need to do is you need to get him to reel in the mistakes. And I'm not sure he's playing about as good as Matt Moore's probably ever going to play. And you can win with this. Let me not be disrespectful. You can win with this. I've said this from year 2012 to 2016. You're not going to have a win-loss differential between Matt Moore and Ryan Tannehill. That's how good I believe Matt Moore is. The problem is the upside. Ryan still has more upside. Matt, I'm not sure you can really get him to play any better than he's already playing.
Right.
105 quarterback rating, hell, that's a Pro Bowl level. And I'm not saying that that's all Matt, because there's a lot of good play calling, a lot of good run after catch plays. But, Matt, I don't know if there's a next level for Matt. I'm curious to see. They certainly need to score points against Pittsburgh.
Well, let's take a look at this Pittsburgh game and really start taking some of your questions as you wonder whether or not there is a playoff future beyond this week. Sean, how do we get off to a fast start since our defense looks much better when defending a lead?
Oh, that's a great question, and probably something that I probably should have addressed and had Adam Gase address early in the season. Dolphins are the worst first-quarter team in the NFL in terms of points allowed, point differential, scoring points. I believe they've only scored 35 points in the first quarter. Now, they're probably one of the better third-quarter teams in the NFL. And I think that's because they spend so much time deferring and giving teams the opportunity to set up their offense and get a lead. let's not pretend like this defense isn't a liability, like they aren't a problem. And so you give them the ball, first drive, they score, you're playing catch-up the rest of the game. It's time that the Dolphins start to seriously consider actually taking the ball and going on offense in the first drive. Maybe you have a better result. Maybe the points that you're scoring in the third quarter on the first drive is what you'll score in the first quarter. And teams will have to play catch up with you.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that when you have built your identity as a team that's resilient, as a team that comes from behind all the time, any one of those players or coaches would say, we'd love to be playing up 14-0, but in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, well, that's fine, we'll come back. We'll come back. And that's a great mindset to have, except for sometimes you don't come out with, right at the top, with the intensity that you need.
I don't know if it's an intensity issue. I just don't think. I think it takes them a little bit of time to understand what's going on in the game. And when they do understand it, they adjust. And I can understand from a coach's standpoint why you would want the ball in the third quarter, because you've probably seen everything. You've made your adjustment. You know how they're going to play. But it would be nice to start off. I mean, if you look at the games the Dolphins have won, including the Pittsburgh game, they scored first. And that puts pressure on the opponent.
All right, let's take a next question from Jonathan. How the hell are we 10-point underdogs in a playoff game? And I know both you and I have seen a lot on social media coming at us about the disrespect that the Dolphins are getting.
It's valid. It's real. I mean, both ESPN and Fox Sports Network, who are probably the two major sports networks, I don't want to slight any other networks out there, they put up graphics about the AFC East, 5-team graphics.
The AFC, right, yeah.
AFC. Aren't there 6 teams in the playoffs? I mean, they put up graphics and give a higher percentage of being in the Super Bowl to the Oakland Raiders, who are playing with their Connor Cook, their third-string quarterback, as opposed to Miami. And it's. I'm not a big disrespect, because I believe the Dolphins, they've earned this disrespect. You beat the Cleveland Browns for a decade, nobody's going to respect you, but what you've done this season, people have to give you credit for. How resilient you've been, people have to give you credit for. And 1% chance. Not even a 1%. It's probably like 0.0% chance.
First off, I don't think fans should be angry about it. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that fuels players. Yeah, Jarvis Landry is going to, staple all of this stuff all over his locker room. He's going to bring it all in a briefcase, put it all over his Pittsburgh locker room. I wouldn't be surprised if we walk inside that locker room today after 1%. 1%.
You are 1%.
They love this kind of thing. And as a fan, you really shouldn't be angry about it either, because you know what? Being told, hey, you're going to win. Don't even worry about it. You're going to win. You don't love being on that side of the things either.
I mean, Pittsburgh, the first time they came out and played Miami, everybody's like, this shouldn't be a game. You know, you're going to need to rest people that you need to rest. And Miami put an ass whooping on them.
Well, I mean, we'll see. So
people want to get excited about Pittsburgh should be like Miami gave them their second worst loss this year.
Yeah,
second worst.
And the argument, I think, also to why it's a bigger percentage for the Raiders and the Texans than the Dolphins is that the road is just tougher. If the Dolphins are going to make it to the Super Bowl, they have to win at Pittsburgh, at New England, at Kansas City.
Yeah,
there's about a 1% chance that happens.
According to those percentages, it's probably like a 0.06% chance. I'm not even sure they really gave the Dolphins one.
Okay, well.
They were just being generous.
All right. And another one of the reasons why the small percentage is because of these injuries. So let's talk a little bit about where the Dolphins are in terms of walking wounded. The defense has been patched up all season, and they've given up a franchise record 6,122 yards this season and still won 10 games. How'd they do it?
Oh, man. If you look at the games that this defense has won, going from San Diego, the clutch performances by the cornerbacks in the secondary, look how many red zone interceptions that they've had. They've been clutch when it comes to turnovers. Only 10 teams have more turnovers than the Dolphins, 25 turnovers this season. The Dolphins have a +2 percentage, and most of the teams that end up in the positive side when it comes to turnover differential are generally in the playoffs. So props to them for that. Third down defense. We've talked about it all year. They have spent most of this season #1 in the NFL on third down defense. Now, after hemorrhaging against the Bills and the Patriots, because they just hemorrhaged yards, the yards were just coming out everywhere, yards and points. they finished 4th in the NFL. But there's no shame in 4th in the NFL.
Right.
But do realize you have the potential to do better. You were number 1 for about 12 weeks this season. So they've been clutch when it comes to third down stops. They've been clutch when it comes to producing turnovers. Red zone defense, they're not that great, but they're really an opportunistic team. So they play opportunistic football. They'll let you run. We talk about it all year, and I slap them on the wrist all the time. You're giving up 140 rushing yards a game. 140. That's like mind-blowing. But they're like, okay, you can get a 6-yarder here. You can get a 5-yarder here. You can get an 8-yarder here. But eventually we're going to get you into a 3rd and 6, and we're going to get you stopped. You can run all over us. You're not going to get big plays. You are not going to get big plays on this Dolphins. You're not going to get big runs on this Dolphins. But eventually they believe that they're going to stop you.
Or we're going to pick you.
Or
we're going to strip sack you.
Yeah.
Or we're going to find and make a big play. And those are the reasons why I've also a lot of people on Twitter wondering why Vance Joseph is a head coach candidate with a defense that has set the record for most yards, and it's because they have been opportunistic and are finding ways.
The word on the streets, the NFL streets. When I say the streets, I'm talking about the NFL streets.
Yes, NFL streets.
Is that Vance Joseph? 4 teams, I believe, 3 or 4 teams have contacted Miami about getting permission to talk to Vance Joseph. The Rams, Denver, and 49ers. And the word on NFL streets is that he is the front runner for the Denver Broncos job for various reasons, primarily because he's a leader and can lead a defense, and that is a defensive team. And also, he's got a ready-made staff in Denver that he doesn't have to really pick apart.
Right.
He could just make some alterations. That's the one concern and weakness that I do have about Vance Joseph. If a team decides to name him a head coach, I would say to myself, this guy, I'm not sure he could really put together a staff. And having watched Joe Philbin and Tony Sparano when their demise came about, it's because they didn't have a quality staff. I'm watching Todd Bowles now with the New York Jets have to fire half his coaching staff. And that's when you start to take on water, when you don't have a good quality staff. And that, if I had to criticize Vance Joseph, I think he's going to be a good head coach one day and a good lead. He's definitely a good leader of men because he's got a lot of grown men with egos to buy in. Can he put together a quality staff? But in Denver, he doesn't have to. It's already there. It's built in.
Right there. All right, let's take our next question from him named Q.
Him named Q.
Him named Q.
Him named Q.
Would Adam Gase hire Rex Ryan if Joseph leaves?
You know, I really do believe that Adam Gase is going to be open-minded. I'm not sure Adam Gase wants to go to a 3-4 defense. I'm not sure Adam Gase wants to deal with the Rex Ryan ego. I think I'm a Rex Ryan fan. Let's be honest. Let's be candid about this. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a proven leader. I think players rally around him. Was Buffalo a great situation for him? No, but he got paid.
Yeah.
I'm not shedding a tear for him. He's getting paid for the next 2 years at least. But Rex needs to go sit on TV.
Yes, he does.
Do TV. Build up his name to the point where he's a John Gruden. And then every year everybody's like, oh, we could get Rex come coach our team. Man, Rex does TV for 2 years. All of a sudden, he'll be the hottest name in football. And people will give him full control of the organization. And truthfully speaking, in my opinion, that's what Rex needs.
Yeah, I don't know if his ego would allow him to come and be a defensive coordinator.
No, I think Rex is a football guy. I think he'd want to work, but right now he's cashing checks.
Go be TV.
Go do TV.
Yeah. All right. Yuri, any Miami position coaches ready to become coordinators in this hiring round if Joseph does leave?
Yeah, definitely. I think you got to start with Matt Burke, who is the linebacking coach, close confidant of Adam Gase. That to me, would be the next man up, even though his unit has not played that well for various reasons. We've only got one healthy linebacker, and that's Kiko Alonso. And truthfully speaking, he's not really healthy. He's got a hamstring and a broken hand. Right. Like this is what you're working with. So I can't sit here and say bad coach. No, He's got like one healthy linebacker. But he's the next man up. Then also another guy is Jim Washburn, who has been a grizzled veteran defensive coach in the NFL. He's been a defensive coordinator before, very savvy veteran. He's the guy behind the wide 9 defense. I think he could do it. Would he probably want to do it? Not necessarily certain he'd have the energy level.
Well, and that's the thing, too, because Gase really does very little on
No,
the defensive
exactly.
side. Absolutely. So he wants someone.
He wants somebody who's
just take
in
it
full
all.
control.
Right.
Full control. I think that's where his comfort zone is. Yeah, he's the head coach. Yeah, he's in charge of managing personnel and making decisions, big decisions. But is Gase calling a third down defense? No. And most coaches shouldn't, especially the offensive-minded coaches. Gase has enough on his plate running this offense, which, truthfully speaking, is not very good, but it's been efficient.
Sure.
But if you look at the offense, they're bottom 25 in most statistical categories.
But they've been clutch.
Clutch, hey.
Won games.
Games.
Daniel asks, if the Dolphins beat the Steelers Sunday, it will be because of what 3 things?
To me, it starts with the offensive line. The offensive line dominated Pittsburgh the last time they played. That was J.J.'s breakout game, first 200-yard performance. Then it'll be primarily Matt Moore. We need a Matt Moore turnover-free game. Now, that's hard to ask of Matt because we know who Matt is. Matt's going to give you touchdowns, but he's also going to give you interceptions. Right. And he's only given up 1 interception per game, which I think is very manageable. But you're going to need a cleaner game from Matt Moore in order to get to that next level. And then the linebacking unit. Kiko Alonso, Neville Hewitt, if Jelani Jenkins plays, they're going to have to be sharp because Le'Veon Bell is a very talented back, diverse from a running and pass catching standpoint, productive, 120 yards per game. The only concern I have about Le'Veon Bell regarding this Dolphins team is the running doesn't bother me because, as we discussed, Dolphins give up 140 rushing yards per game. Everybody can run on Dolphins. You want to run on Dolphins, you can run on Dolphins.
Right.
It's breaking tackles. They can't allow Le'Veon Bell to, and he's a powerful back, they can't allow him to bulldoze through them. And then when he moves out wide into the receiver positions, they've got to make sure that their assignments are sound, and a lot of that is on the secondary.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I don't disagree that those 3 things are important, but to me, if the defensive backs don't play well and Ben's on fire, this is just
I mean, but it's not hard to beat. It's not hard to beat Ben. Here's the philosophy. Here's the recipe to beating Big Ben, who I've got a lot of respect for. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Pressure him. He likes to stand in the pocket.
Sure he does.
And he stands and stands and stands and stands and stands. Cam Wake can do it. Andre Branch can do it. And Dominican Sue can do it. You got the formula there. Don't let any of their receivers get behind your secondary. Now, I would feel a lot more comfortable if Rashad Jones and Issa Abdul-Khalus were back there at safety. They're not.
They're not.
So that's going to be that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But if Byron Maxwell is there and he's able to, they held
Antonio
Brown to 39 yards last time they played, and it wasn't because Pittsburgh wasn't trying.
Right.
They just all the attention went to Antonio Brown. Okay, and you can't let everybody else. I call them the riffraff. You can't let the riffraff beat you. You can't let.
Eli Rogers,
Sammy Coates,
Jesse James.
James. You can't let the riffraff beat you. If you let the riffraff beat you, you don't have a chance.
All right, let's go. We do have a question about defensive backs. Let's go back from Fins for DeWin.
Okay.
What impact will Xavier Howard have if Byron Maxwell and Tony Lippett are both healthy?
To me, I think you need Byron Maxwell to play. Xavier Howard isn't ready for this stage yet. Tony Lippett is okay, but he needs a lot of help. He needs a lot of coverage help. Byron Maxwell can handle most receivers one-on-one. I'm not sure he can handle Antonio Brown one-on-one, but he can handle it. He can handle himself. You need Byron Maxwell. Think about it. How many players on your team have a championship ring?
Actually, is it only one? It's only one.
It's only one. His name is Byron Maxwell.
And it's not very many more than that have actually even played in playoff games.
That's correct.
All right. So let's move on and talk a little bit about the big controversy of the week, if there really even is one. And that is whether or not Ryan Tannehill is going to play this weekend. We know he's not practicing today. We don't know if he's not practicing tomorrow. Where do you weigh in on this? Because it seems ridiculous to me.
It's funny that it seems ridiculous to you. It seems ridiculous to me as well. Ryan Tannehill's, the strength of his game is what?
His mobility.
Okay. Elusiveness, getting out of the pocket, play action, roll out. Okay. If he has one good knee, how impacted do you think the mobility is going to be?
That seems like that would have a large impact.
Just a mild guess. I have always been puzzled why they have not placed him on IR, considering it's not like this team is talented. I would have poached the crap out of. There are a lot of players that I would have gotten rid of or cut and just poached other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Give me a defensive tackle. Give me your linebacker. Give me your practice squad linebacker. Hey, you got a wide receiver. Give me your practice squad wide receiver. This team is a very talented team. I don't know why Ryan Tannehill's still on the active roster. Maybe it's because they didn't want him to go into a playoff game and say, oh, well, Ryan didn't lead his team to the playoffs. Well, technically, he's still on the roster. He did lead his team to the playoffs. The thought process, now, if he gets out there and practices Thursday and is rolling around, and and they might do that for us. They might showcase it for us. Then I'll say, maybe. But I doubt Ryan.
Is there some sort of advantage from a leadership standpoint? This is Ryan Tannehill's team. We always want this to be Ryan Tannehill's team. It's going to continue to be Ryan Tannehill's team, and proving to the rest of the players that he's going to keep fighting, keep trying to come back. Does that prove some sort of point?
Yeah, everybody knows how resilient he is. Everybody knows how tough he is.
I'm just trying to find something. I'm trying to find something.
Your answer is probably better. Might be better than mine because it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, do they want players to think that, oh, Matt Moore could lead this team to wins? No, not really. Yeah. They wouldn't be comfortable with that. Yeah. They've never been comfortable with that. Ryan doesn't want to be on IR. I get that. Ryan wants to try to play. I get that. But is it smart for Ryan to play? Probably not.
It's also going to be 18 degrees at the time.
Stop scaring me.
All right. You're not going to be on the sideline. You're going to be in the toasty press box. Jimmy asks, what?
Still got to walk to the press box.
Jimmy asks us, what serves us better, a 100% Matt Moore or 75% Ryan Tannehill? Third down numbers are a strong case for Moore.
Not only third down numbers, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Yards per attempt. Only one quarterback has better yards per attempt average than Matt Moore, and that's Matt Ryan. You're talking about completion percentage, red zone efficiency, third down numbers, big play numbers. Matt is good. Yeah. I don't get
That's the other thing that doesn't make sense. We've just talked about why not to push Ryan.
It's like people are like, he's chopped liver. He has a 105 quarterback rating. Yeah. But I've seen this before. In 2011, Matt Moore was like the 12th highest rated quarterback in the NFL, 87 passer rating, and Dolphins fans are like, chop liver.
Yeah, you didn't even get a chance to start the next year, did you?
No.
Didn't even get a chance.
Good Lord, 2 practices against Ryan Tannehill, who knew the offense, and they put Ryan in the starting position during and I'm not saying this to create any kind of controversy because this is Ryan Tannehill's team. He is the $96 million man. Mm-hmm. He has 93 quarterback rating, has shown so much improvement, has been clutch. If Adam Gase can get Matt Moore to be a 105 quarterback rated quarterback, imagine what he can do with Ryan Tannehill, who has more tools, better tools. But Matt can win.
Well, and we see him there at Dolphins headquarters, wobbling around on that leg. It's not like, oh, he's almost back to 100. He's nowhere close to being 100%.
Hey, maybe they want him as the number 2 quarterback. Maybe that makes sense. That something happens to Matt, he can go in there and take some handoffs and throw some 3-step drop. I don't know. It makes no sense to me.
All right. Let's take our next question from Bob. Why is Matt Moore getting sacked less than Ryan Tannehill? Faster reads, line playing better pocket presence?
I think the offensive line has improved. I mean, if you just look at this unit with Mike Pouncey, the Unicorns, it's a dream. It's a dreamy. 10-1 record, 154 yards per rushing yards, 106 quarterback rating. It's dreamy. But since Craig Urbick has been in there, they've been pretty respectable. They've been able to sustain efficient performances. I would love to have seen them rush for 100 yards on anybody other than the Bills. But then just look at the left side of the offensive line. Brandon Albert's given up 1 sack this season. No, I think 2 sacks this season. Laramie Tunsil's given up 1 sack this season. That's your left side of your offensive line that's given up 3 of 30 sacks. That's pretty damn good. Your blind side, three sacks from your blind side. It's pretty damn good. So now Matt does get hit, but usually when you see Matt Moore get hit, he's going deep. He probably needs an extra half a second to make things happen. So this line does need to produce, because Matt's looking downfield. So is Ryan. Matt's looking downfield. You got to give him an extra second. You give him an extra second, you could probably be in a playoff. You could probably be in the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Okay. You heard that?
These receivers are good.
All right.
Think about it.
They're good.
Think about it. All three. Nobody's saying anything about this receiving core. They balance each other out quite well. Jarvis Landry working underneath. Kenny Stills over the top. Devontae Parker running slants, being a red zone threat.
Well, I was going to say, we saw the slant was basically the only thing that worked.
Here's the thing about the slant. That was what the Patriots decided. You can have that.
Right.
You can have that all game. We're going to give it to you all game. We're not giving you anything else. You can have the slant. Would you like the slant?
I guess.
I guess I'll take the slant.
I'll take the slant.
Yeah. And I was always curious how Bill Belichick would play Matt Moore. I was so curious about it. How would Bill Belichick play Matt Moore? He said, here, you could hit doubles all game.
Yeah.
And Matt was like, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And it worked for a while until you got to, they're going to let you hang yourself. And they threw a little underneath pass to Damian Williams. The safety punched it out, and 14 points.
There we go. All right, Raymond, true or false? Miami will win the game if they hold Le'Veon Bell under 120 scrimmage yards.
I'm going to say false. Le'Veon, as I say, and Pittsburgh fans will all get their panties in a bunch, Le'Veon Bell doesn't concern me. He's going to do what he does, and the Dolphins are going to let him do what he does. They might even throw on an extra 20 yards. Here, have another 20. Third down stops, turnovers. To me, this game is on the secondary. Yeah. If they can play well, Byron Maxwell has to be there. Bakari Rambo, Michael Thomas have to be reliable. Can't let anybody get behind you. Anybody. And they've got Darius Hayward-Bay. They've got Sammy Coates. They've got, who's the?
Eli Rogers.
Yeah,
he's this little slot guy, but he's making some big plays in the past month and a half.
They have some dangerous little weapons. Jesse James, if the tight end comes back from his concussion, Ladarius Green, that's two concerns.
Yeah.
If Ladarius Green is there and healthy and cleared and has come back from a concussion, there's one way to beat the Dolphins, and it's with a tight end. So that would concern me. But it looks like he's going to be still in the concussion protocol program.
So that would concern you?
Yeah, that concerned me. Le'Veon Bell, he's going to get what he gets.
Right.
He's going to do what he does.
So you don't have that many concerns then for Sunday for the Dolphins?
This Dolphins team, if you can present defensively, if you can present 3 challenges for them, they can't stop you. If you can present a tailback, a tight end, and a wide receiver that they have to stop, they're going to leak. They're going to hemorrhage to death.
Right.
If you only have 2 challenges, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, they got that. They're all right. They're going to let you get yards, but they're going to be opportunistic. I mean, they might give up 400 yards against the Steelers, but they could win.
Yeah.
They've done it before.
Yeah. I think that I think the Steelers riffraff
is
a little bit better than the Dolphins
defense
riffraff. The other players in the Dolphins back 7, and I think that's actually where the Dolphins are going to have issues, is with those other guys.
Not buying it.
Okay.
That's why I'm actually going to predict a Dolphins victory.
No, you're not.
I am.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I come here and I do my film study, and it is about matchups.
Yeah.
Can the Dolphins pressure Big Ben?
Yeah.
They can.
Okay.
Can they force turnovers? They can.
Yeah.
Can this defense stop Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell? They can contain them. And to me, if the Dolphins can run the football, and I think Jay Ajayi can run, Jay Ajayi's got one more game in him. Okay. One more. And think about Brandon Albert, man. You got $8.9 million on this game, riding on this game. You want to get to that next year's contract? Ball. I'm picking Dolphins.
Final score?
I'm going 24-21 Dolphins fourth quarter victory.
Right. And I'm going to join the rest of everyone. And I'm going to pick the Steelers to win the game 27-17. We've got a lot more coming up on X's and Omar overtime, so make sure if you're watching us live, you hang with us. And, of course, you can download the audio of the show on iTunes. Just search for X's and Omar on the podcast. So I guess we'll see. We will be back here next week.
I am in the 1%.
Win or lose. You are the 1%. We'll see you next week. Okay, great. Welcome to X's and Omar Overtime. That was a fiery end of the show. We're also, by the way, so this game is for basically the Sun Sentinel Picks Championship.
Oh, absolutely.
Isn't it? Because
yes.
we're both 12-4. Mm-hmm. I remember actually off the top of our head the games that we were that we differed on were I picked the Chargers to win.
Okay.
I was the only one of us who picked the Chargers to win. I picked them to beat the Ravens.
Okay.
So I was wrong there. And
all right.
then you picked them to lose to the Ravens. You picked them to beat the Patriots in week 2. Do you remember that?
Did I?
You did. You thought they were going to beat Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, maybe. All right.
And then what was the one other game? I picked them to lose to the Bills after they beat the Steelers, and you picked them to beat the Bills that week. And that is how we're both 12-4.
All right. Well,
right?
I believe it. I believe that they can pull off an upset in Pittsburgh, primarily for a number of reasons. As I said in the previous show, one, Vance Joseph needs to polish up that resume.
Okay.
If he's going to coach a game, if there was ever a game to coach, think about it. He's been with Cincinnati. He's played. How many times has he played Big Ben?
How many times? Yeah, it's a ton. Yeah, sure.
A ton.
Okay.
This is the game. He needs to polish up that resume if he wants that Denver job.
And we can all sit back and love how the players want to talk about the weather. Doesn't matter. It's 20 degrees.
Yeah.
20. You can't move.
I'm gonna have to bring out my big coat, not just my regular coat. My big coat, the one that goes all the way to the ground.
Would you take David Njoku in the first round of this year?
Who?
Or is it Njoku? Was the tight end for the
Patriots. In the first round?
First round.
No, of course not.
Would you take O.J. Howard in the first round?
I would take David Njoku in the third round, but
Njoku.
I'm banging the table for Martellus Bennett.
Okay.
Banging the table. Think about it.
Yeah.
Blocks defensive ends. No help. No help. Seam threat. Red zone, big target. Running game. Come on, man.
That was from.
I'm just.
Sure. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
To give him a Jordan Cameron 2-year, $14 million deal.
I'd be curious to see really what the
I would love to see.
decide to do with him.
If you think about what is missing from this Dolphins offense, just think about what is missing from this Dolphins offense. You've got 3 good receivers if you re-sign Kenny Stills, which is,
maybe.
Keep Brandon Albert. Get a healthy Mike Pouncey back. That means you can run for 150 a game. Then you have a tight end.
Yeah.
A real good tight end. And those 3 receivers, Ryan Tannehill, let's say he comes back healthy. Man.
All right.
I'm just saying. Let me put my GM hat on.
That question was from Wakezilla. I want to give him credit. We've talked about this before, but here's Fins Up 91. Based off what you've seen, would you re-sign Kenny Stills?
Depends on the price point. I'm not paying Kenny Stills more than $5 million a year. No disrespect to Kenny Stills. I don't think that. How much attention is Kenny Stills getting from opposing defenses?
Close to 0?
Somebody's covering him, but he's not. He's not.
Everyone's
drawn.
got their eyes on Landry and trying to stop Ajayi and
Yeah.
knowing that Devontae Parker.
And, oh my God, Devontae Parker could beat us.
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to Kenny Stills, and he might go out there on the market and get a $6 million deal. Props to him. There are a lot of teams in the NFL who have to. Let me explain this. You have to spend to the 89% salary threshold over a 5-year period. So there are a lot of teams that have to go out there and spend like $70 million in the offseason just because they've been. The Oakland Raiders were one last year.
Jags.
The Jags were one. They just have to spend. Otherwise, the NFL's in trouble. So owners are out there like, you go pay money now.
Yeah. It still seems like the kind of guy who could take advantage of something like that because he is a luxury kind of guy in what he can do.
The only problem is he'd be very hard to replace because you'd have to go out there and you'd have to get a Dorsett, Philip Dorsett type, a guy who has the speed to take off the top of your defense. Now, are there gonna be guys like that in the draft? Yeah, you pick a receiver who runs a 4.3, but hell, Jakeem Grant runs a 4.3. Can he catch a 9 route? Those are hard to find. Guys who can catch a 9 route are hard to find.
I'm sure.
A lot of receivers have
really
speed.
just haven't given Jakeem
Clyde
Grant a chance.
Gates. Remember Clyde Gates?
No.
Clyde Gates was a Dolphins receiver they drafted in the 4th round. Speed to burn.
Yeah.
Couldn't catch the ball deep.
That's kind of what you need.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to be that guy. Okay. I don't like that question.
Why does it continue? This is from Finn's Way. Why does it continue to look like Adam Gase is using Matt Moore like he's Ryan Tannehill, playing with house money, unleash the gunslinger? Do you think that's the right approach?
I don't.
No.
No.
The formula for this team's success is run the football, yes, utilize play action, building off the run, and if teams stack the box against you, throw on it.
Yeah.
It works. I mean, I would love for Matt Moore to be a little bit more athletic, but he's shown you he can do enough to get out the pocket. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
The one thing I would say is seeing Devontae Parker get more chances down the field, I'd like to see.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He's been getting a little bit better. He's at a 700 yards, so he's being productive.
Hippo USMC. What about Wade Phillips if Vance leaves?
Okay, I mean, didn't Wade Phillips have some health scares?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want a coach to come down here and be positioning himself to retire. I think you want the next young, hungry guy who's trying to get to become the next Vance Joseph. Do a respectable job here. Head coach opportunity will come to you. This is a question from Pinky something, Etienne Dor something. I can't even say your name. Why don't the Finns take advantage of Devontae Parker's athleticism more by throwing him jump balls?
Oh, that's kind of what I just asked.
Here's
the thing about jump balls, right? But ideally, a jump ball means it's you against one-on-one, which means as much as Devontae Parker could make a big play, you could throw an interception.
Correct.
You know, so
I think in the red zone, I don't think they maximize what Devontae Parker can be in the red zone, but I think they're still efficient enough that they don't need to just throw those up there. All right. Do you feel, here's one from Leonard Papas. Do you feel the Finns are best to move Hull to the middle, putting Kiko on the outside to help the run defense? I feel Kiko's guessing wrong too often. I disagree on the guessing wrong. Kiko does his assignment. He's easily blocked, if I had to put a criticism on Kiko Alonso, which means I think he's better utilized as a weak side linebacker. My number one priority for this Dolphins team moving forward is a linebacker.
Yeah.
A inside linebacker.
And I saw you mentioned it on Twitter this week. Lawrence Timmons, the best guy available?
He is, but he doesn't really fit the system.
Okay.
And there are there's Hightower in New England, but I don't really think he's that good either. I'm going with a draft. I'm hopefully going with a draft prospect. The Dolphins are probably going to pick like 22nd in the NFL draft. That's great range for you to go get the best linebacker in the draft, the Ryan Shazier of whatever this draft class is going to be. I have not done any draft studying yet, but here's my solution. This is my one solution and thought to fixing this Dolphins run defensive issues. A 5-2 defense, which features Kiko and maybe Mike Hull or Neville Hewitt in there. I'm not saying use it as your base, but use it on run-specific plays. Dolphins have done this in the past. Let's not pretend like you can't do it again. You put Jason Jones on the inside with Earl Mitchell or Jordan Phillips and Ndamukong Suh. Have all those 4 players rotate into that where you got 3 defensive tackles, and then have Andre Branch and Cam Wake on the outside. I think that can do you. I think you can make that work. The question is, will Neville Hewitt and Kiko Alonso be short tacklers?
That's a good question.
Funny. Greg just asked, what can anything be done to fix this Dolphins defense against the run? I just answered your question, Greg. You got anything? How do you defend the tight end with this defense? Prayer.
Yeah, right.
They drop back in zone. I mean, if you drop back in zone, you expose yourself to other things.
Right.
If you got a good tight end, you're just going to eat against the Dolphins. That's just the reality of it.
We have one who asked, does Spencer Pasinger have a Super Bowl ring with the Giants?
Yeah, that'd be interesting to look up. That would be interesting.
We don't know
I'm
that.
not sure.
If you got that right, I don't.
He might have that right. Spencer Pasinger played. When did the Giants play in the Super Bowl? I think he's a 7-year veteran.
That makes sense. Stroopy 2. Does Wake continue his dominance next year?
Why would I count Wake out if Wake is healthy? He's going to probably be a little bit better, even though he's a year advanced. I think Wake's one of those players, timeless. Probably a little bit more in situational pass rusher, but I don't think this is going to be an issue for Wake moving forward. Double-digit sacks, 2017. Bank it.
Wow. You got one good one to end us on?
You know what? Give me 1 second. I did like some that I wanted to bring up. Okay. Think Kenny Stills gets paid. We answered that question. Some team is going to want to spend money.
Yeah.
Some team with a big quarterback, let's just say San Diego. They gave it to Travis Benjamin. I think Kenny Stills will get a Travis Benjamin type contract. How do you get off to a faster start? We answered that question.
Jason Taylor be inducted in the Hall of Fame?
Man, I think he will.
Yeah.
If you look at, if they're going to get 7 in, including Paul Tagliabue, that's 6 players.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason Taylor is if I'm going to say LT.
For sure Tomlinson.
LT for sure. Jason Taylor being a finalist first ballot, that's a clear indicator. The one thing that bothers me about, that I always had doubts about Jason Taylor being in Hall of Fame, which I think he's going to get in eventually.
Yeah, right.
I didn't think he was a first ballot Hall of Famer because Michael Strahan wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if you match their careers up side by side, Michael Strahan had a better career. He wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. Maybe that, I don't know.
Sometimes it's weird it works. It might have been who else was on the ballot the same year,
also,
that sort of thing.
There are a lot of, there's a very defensive push because it's apparently very heavily favored in terms of offensive players in the Hall of Fame, and there's a major defensive push to get defensive players into the Hall of Fame. I think that Jason Taylor is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer because of that media stance that, you know what, we've really done a crappy job of getting defensive players in. So I think Jason Taylor will be one of the 7 inducted in.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I agree.
He's probably the #1 guy on that defensive ballot. Defensive player. If let's just say you're going to let 2 in, mm-hmm. 2 defensive players in.
I don't have the total list in front of me, but yes.
It looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And you like their chances this weekend. And listen.
It's matchups, man.
Just ratchet up. Okay, that's fine.
It's the matchups.
This is still Big Ben. This team has won big games in Pittsburgh, in the playoffs.
Do you think
it's
they're
going to be
taking
20
Dolphins
degrees. Yeah, because they beat them. Maybe that's the worst thing for the Dolphins is the fact that they pounded them 2
I think
months
that
ago.
helps the Dolphins' confidence. I'm in that 1%. Thank you for joining us.
You wrap it up. I always wrap it up. You wrap it up.
Always a pleasure to have you join us here on X's and Xomar. We'll be back next week either to talk about the second round against the New England Patriots or to give Matt Lincoln his crown as the champion of the predictions and to wrap up the season.